Okay, so let's dive in. Imagine a world that's trying to rebuild itself after some kind of massive world-ending catastrophe. This is the world we're stepping into with the Chrysalids, a future where society is clawing its way back, but under this constant shadow of fear. They're all haunted by this disaster they call the tribulation. Our guide through all this is a young boy. His name is David Strorm, and he's got a secret. He has these incredible dreams about a world he's never, ever seen. A city full of wonders, with carts running with no horses, and shiny fish-shaped things that certainly were not birds. This amazing vision is just a world away from his actual life, which is simple, rural, and a place where being different is the most dangerous thing you can be. So what is David's reality? Well, his waking life is spent in this community called Waknuk. And Waknuk is a place that is absolutely built on an obsession with rules, definitions, and more than anything else, being exactly the same as everyone else. Now, that event that shaped their entire world is called the tribulation. We don't know exactly what it was, but it was some kind of devastating catastrophe that completely wiped out the advanced civilization of the old people, the people from David's dreams. In Waknuk, they see the tribulation as God's punishment for getting too arrogant, and the fear of it happening again controls every single thing they do. And to stop another tribulation, the people of Waknuk live by this incredibly strict religious doctrine. And it all centers on something called the definition of man. This is a literal, super precise description of what a normal human being is supposed to look like, right down to the number of fingers and toes. If anything doesn't fit this perfect image, it's considered an offense against God. And this paranoia, it's everywhere. I mean, the phrase, "watch thou for the mutant," is literally hanging up on the wall in David's own house. It's this constant, terrifying reminder that anything different, any deviation at all, is an enemy that has to be found and destroyed. So in a world this rigid, this black and white, what do you think happens when you make a friend who breaks the rules? Well, David meets a girl named Sophie, and their friendship is about to put everything he's ever been taught to the test. One day, they're out playing by a stream, and Sophie has this little accident. Her shoe gets wedged between a couple of rocks, and she can't get it free unless she takes it off, which for some reason she's terrified to do. And this small moment of panic, it's about to lead to a life-changing discovery for David. When David finally helps her get the shoe off, he sees her secret. And it's so simple, and to him, it's not monstrous at all. Sophie has 6 toes on each foot. That's it. Just one tiny extra toe. But in the world of Waknuk, this is not just some physical quirk. As David connects what he's seeing to the definition of man, this chilling realization hits him. According to the laws of his people, his new friend isn't a person. She's a blasphemy, a creature that's hateful in the sight of God. And from that moment on, he knows he has to keep her secret safe. So just how dangerous is it to be different? David finds out firsthand pretty quickly. The paranoia in Waknuk is so intense that even a throwaway comment, something you don't even think about, can have brutal consequences. He's struggling to tie a bandage one day, and he just says, I could have managed it all right by myself if I'd had another hand. His father, Joseph Strorm, who's a fanatical leader in the community, overhears him. He accuses David of wishing he was a mutant, of literally calling on the devil. And for that one sentence, David is beaten, badly. The whole experience leaves David absolutely terrified, and not just for himself, but for Sophie. That night, he has this horrifying nightmare. He dreams his father is in the yard doing a purification ceremony, but instead of it being a mutated animal, it's Sophie he's holding down, raising a knife. In David's mind, the line between a strange-looking plant and a slightly different human has just completely disappeared. But here's the thing. Sophie isn't the only one with a secret. David has a deviation of his own, and it's one that's completely invisible, which, in this world, might make it even more dangerous. You see, David can communicate without speaking. He calls it thinking together. It's a kind of telepathy. And think about it. Speaking aloud is public, it's slow, and, of course, you can lie. But this way of talking is secret, it's instant, and it's always true. You can't lie with your thoughts. And he shares this ability with a small group of other kids, including his cousin Rosalind. David's uncle Axel, who's really his most trusted adult figure, finds out about his ability by accident. But instead of freaking out, Axel is just deeply, deeply worried for David's safety. He makes David promise, swear an oath that he will never, ever tell anyone, warning him that this invisible difference is the kind of thing that could get him killed. But no matter how careful they are, the secrets that connect David and Sophie are about to be blown wide open, and it's going to force a desperate run for their lives. The secret comes out in a single moment. They're playing by the stream again, and another boy, Alan, spots a wet footprint Sophie left on a rock, a perfect print of 6 toes. David realizes the danger instantly, and he just attacks Alan, trying to buy Sophie enough time to get away. But it's too late. Sophie and her family have to flee into the Fringes, a dangerous, lawless land. And for his loyalty, David is once again beaten by his father. After all that pain, after all his efforts to protect his friend, David gets the worst possible news. A patrol has captured Sophie and her parents. His sacrifice, his loyalty, it was all for nothing. He is just completely and utterly devastated. In the wake of this tragedy, Uncle Axel decides David is old enough to learn a much bigger, much more complicated truth, a truth that's going to shatter the narrow, black and white world that Waknuk has built around him. Uncle Axel, who used to be a sailor, tells David about his travels, and it just shatters his worldview. He describes these faraway lands where the whole definition of normal is completely different. I mean, can you imagine? Places where having webbed feet is the standard? Whole tribes where having hair is seen as a mutation? Even societies where women with multiple breasts are worshipped as the ideal form. And this all leads him to this really profound conclusion. Uncle Axel explains that every single one of these societies is just as convinced as Waknuk that they are the true image of humanity and everyone else is wrong. But the truth is, there's no proof. Nobody actually knows what's correct. And then, Uncle Axel just drops a bombshell. He suggests that maybe, just maybe, David's telepathy isn't a deviation at all. The legends of the powerful old people say they could talk to one another over long distances. Well, David can do that. Perhaps, he says, David and his friends aren't a step backward, but a step forward. Maybe they're closer to the true image than anyone in Waknuk. And this is the question that just hangs over everything, right? If every society believes they are the true image, and they condemn everyone else, who is right? Is conformity really the key to survival? Or is it a prison, holding humanity back from whatever it's supposed to become next?